Hey guys, it's Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. Got a great one from Incubus today. We're going to do Pardon Me. So this one's got some guitar tones that I have not completely dialed in, I know. I don't try too hard on this tone stuff, so we're just going to approximate it. This clean swell thing, I got like a clean amp into, like I'm going to a flanger, phaser, delay, reverb. Something like that. Anyway, the settings don't really matter. So, because it doesn't sound like it anyway. But it's not much of a tone lesson, but I will show you what he's doing. So we're gonna go through all this stuff. So it's a great track. It's got some interesting chords in it. And it's some things are played quite uniquely. Obviously some swell techniques and all that stuff. So, and then some straight up, power chord rock. So, now, before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell, all that good stuff. Support your favorite guitar YouTuber, whether it's me or anybody else, or multiple guys or gals, or whatever. They definitely, this kind of genre of YouTube's not doing that great these days. So if you want to keep this going, and it takes a lot of work to put these videos together, and a lot of work, a lot of time, you can really help out by supporting your favorite YouTuber and guitar tutorial YouTuber. Most likely those are the guys that are people aren't paying attention to their videos anymore, me included. Join their guitar academies if they have them. Most of them have them. I have a link to mine in the description below. Free 7-day trial for that. Access to all my courses, personalized support from me, off of YouTube, live streams every weekend with just me. So it's a lot of great community over there. But any way you can support, do it. Share the videos, whatever. Even if you don't have any money to put into it, that's fine. Just share them. That helps too. All right, so let's jump into it. I'm in standard tuning here, and Mike has got some interesting things going on here. So first, like I said, I have a clean setting. It's not complete. I didn't spend about 3 minutes getting this together. So I told you what I have. I basically have a clean amp into a flanger, phaser, and some delay. I'll leave that delay on for, he kind of turns that, the phaser off halfway through the verse and stuff, and then I kind of round it all off with a reverb. But, so what's going on here is you're gonna play, first of all, the chord is 4th fret on the A, 2nd fret on the D string, then 4th fret on the G string. You're gonna wanna use these 3 fingers like this, and then the open B. Now, I actually didn't check to see if he's doing these swells with a volume knob on his guitar, which is what I'm doing, or with a pedal, just a volume pedal. Either way will work fine. So you basically strum, you hit those 4 middle strings, and what I'm doing is as I'm strumming across, I'm rolling the volume up, so it's on 0, and then, so as I pick across, I'm turning up the volume. So if you had a foot pedal, you'd have it down on the heel, and then you'd raise it as you strum. So you just want to miss that initial attack. And then he pretty much keeps the same chord, but he adds an A in the bass. So you put this is where you have to use your pinky here on the E string, low E string at the 5th fret. And then it's the same chord all the way across to the B string again. So he does that. And does it again. And then what you're gonna do is just jump up here. It's pretty easy. 6th fret on the G, and then the open B and open high E. So that's the intro, just gonna repeat that. Repeat. So you do that 4 times and you're good to go, and the intro there. Then we kick in this in just a normal high gain sound, and we have this part that kind of finishes out the intro. All right, so that's gonna start here. So he's using, for most of the power chords in this song, a lot of them at least, he has the 5th in the bass. So what does that mean? So that's This is actually like a C-sharp power chord off the 4th fret of the A string. So 4th fret of the A, 6th on the D, 6th on the G. But what he does is he adds the 5th and the bass underneath it. So we have the 4th fret across the low E and the A. And then we could take it basically down to the open version of that. So basically the fingers that are at the 6th fret on the D and the G move down to the 2nd fret. And you still have the open low E and A in there. So he strums those first. Then he hits all 6 strings. You want to get that B and high E string in there, which makes it a sus2 chord. So we have this. Get that. So do it again. So that's different there. He goes to the A sus2, and then quickly goes to an E power chord, which is just the open E, then the 2nd fret on the A and the D. So far we have this. Then we start over. So that version of going to the A sus2 without going to that E power chord. And then this ending's a little bit different, which he also does a little bit later in the song. So that starts with that chord, and move it up to this 7th fret. So that's the 7th across the low E and the A, 9th on the D and the G. And then move it to a regular B power chord. So basically just move these 2 fingers up, the 9th fret to the A and the D, still keeping the 7th fret on the low E string. That's just a regular B power chord with B in the bass. And then before he leaves it, I don't think he does a lot of this live because he's got to get to that first chord in the verse, but on the recording gear, you hear that, which is, he takes us down 2 frets to the 5th fret there. So you have that. He's muting the G string with his index finger. And then you have the open B and high E ringing. So this, you just hear it once and it goes really into that first swell of the verse. So there's some quick pedal movements going on. And then you're ready, you gotta jump into this verse. So the verse is kind of crazy, a lot of tap dance in here. Basically looks like this. All right, and then live he'll do some scratches and stuff, but I think that's mostly the turntable guy on the recording. So I'm going back and forth between kind of the same preset here that we used for the swell, and then I have a Line 6 Helix here, so it has what's called snapshot, so I can do kind of different versions of the exact same signal chain. And when I go to the other one where he does those little stabs, so that delay is on the swell sound as well, but what I turn off is the flanger and the phaser. So that's all I'm doing there. I don't know what he's doing, but so when it comes to this flanger, this main setting for the swells, I didn't mention it when we were doing it in the intro, but there's like an octave thing being added to. So you hear some of the notes you hear. When it does, so you have the flanger effects where it'll take it and then the modulation adds an octave higher. So you're hearing a lot of that in there. Now the way that kind of helps sometimes to pick out the notes that are in the chord because there's so many effects on it. Sometimes it's hard to hear, especially when he's using like sus chords and add 9 and all that stuff. So in this case, in the verse, he's using like an augmented chord. So all those dissonant notes along with all that modulation is kind of hard to pick it up, but sometimes you hear that little octave in the background being raised, it helps you hear the notes that are actually in the chord. So when we get into this verse, I don't believe that one of the chords, at least, he plays the same way every time that he did on the recording. But first, I know he does one variation, but we're going to start with this. So that's going to be the 7th fret there on the B, 4th fret there on the G, and then the 6th fret on the D. So you'll start there and you'll swell that in. And then just like in the intro, we're going to keep the same chord, but we're going to put a bass note under it, which is this, in this case is going to be this E. So it's the 7th fret on the A. Otherwise, it's the same chord, so it's just 4 strings instead of 3. And then here comes the augmented chord, and he has you can play this like this, but he wants this, that open B to be open. It has a very specific sound. Kind of adds to the chiminess of it. So in order to do that, he plays it like this. So he plays the 6th fret here on the A, 5th on the D, 8 on the G, then the open B. Now live, you'll see him play this, and then he goes down and plays the flat 7 under it. So he has this, making it a dominant 7 sharp 5 chord. So, but that's not on the recording, but you will see him do a lot, so it looks like you see that shape. So it starts with this chord though, on the recording. And if you want to add that live variation, move that note on the G string down to the 6th fret next. So just play that, let's get a little melody in there. Now here's where I'm going to turn off the flanger and the phaser, so we just have that straight delay. And you come to the 4th fret there on the B string and the high E string together. And then it just has this strict kind of simple delay that kind of keeps it going. So, and then it swells in with another chord. This is the chord, this is a chord that you can hear a D with a major 3rd in it, so it's a D major chord. You can also hear a sus2, so you can hear it as a D add 9 chord. So you hear these different notes in it, but when I see him play it live, he's usually down here. So he's kind of, you also hear this D in there, so in the kind of in the mid range. So I'm like, well, he can play it like this. Sometimes I've seen videos he's just doing a straight D major, sometimes he's just a D sus2. To really get all those notes in there that are on the recording though, I think the best way to do it is actually do it here and then have an open high E in there. Like I said, I don't know if he's playing it this way on the recording, but all those notes are in there on the recording, and I can't catch a version of him doing it live that sounds exactly like the recording. So that's why on this D chord, there's some kind of variation of how he's doing it. So I'm gonna do it this way. It's the, it's just a regular D major chord. So 5th fret on the A, 7 on the D, G, and the B, and then that open high E makes it an add 9 chord, D major add 9. Like I said, you can really hear all those notes, like that F sharp, you can still hear the E and all that stuff in there, and that little octave thing that's being added with the flanger. So this way seems to make the most sense. You can't get all those notes in down here and still get that D in the middle that we got in the chord there. And then it goes back to the, I got it all mixed up. There's that. And then it has this last swell, which is also weird. And like I said, when you're watching Incubus, the camera is on Brennan 95% of the time, so it's hard to get his exact. But I believe what's going on is this on this last chord, which is the 8th fret there on the G, 7 on the B, open high E string. And like I said, then he'll add some scrapes and stuff to kind of fill up the sound before they comes in with the pre-chorus. So all together though, we have those first 3 swells, then that little kind of hit there, and then we have that D with the E on top with the swell sound, and then back to those hits. I'm sorry. And then that last swell. And then we get to crank it up. All right, so then it comes into pre-chorus. Pre-chorus is basically just one chord. It's an A sus2 that then goes into the chorus. So let me play the pre-chorus into the chorus because the pre-chorus will really last about 4 seconds. So we have this. All right, so it starts out with that same chord that we started when we came into with the intro, that C sharp with the 5th in the bass. Then it just takes it down 2 frets, and then down to the open version, so that A sus2. Remember, we still have the low 2 strings in there, so. And then we have this straight power chorus, which is just this power chord off the 2nd fret of the low E string. So 2nd fret of low E, 4 on the A, 4 on the D. Hit that once, and then kind of hit the open E power chord a few times. So you do that. So it looks like this. And then you do the same thing again. And there's where he mixes it up, and he has this little ending is different here, this 3rd time through. So it looks like this. So that 3rd time through, so we basically reverse the A and the B chords. We start with the same chord, then we go to the open chord first, then the power chord there at the 2nd fret. So that 3rd time through, it reverses that. Instead of going, it does this. And then right here, he has an effect again. He adds like a phaser, which I don't have on this. Should have done my homework. But he basically plays, instead of going, you basically play the, instead you play the 4th fret there on the A and the D. You can mute the G string or play that A or whatever, but you want to get the open B and the high E there. It's more like that, muting that G and then hit the open B and high E. So he's playing that, and he has this phaser effect. Phaser, flanger, whatever, something's going on there. So it's just to kind of mix it up. So that 1st time, we have the 3rd time through it here. Right here. And then we go back and we play the riff again, the same way we did the 3rd time, but we're gonna put the normal power chord in here. So just like that. So all together for the chorus again. Remember the 3rd and 4th time we're reversing. Instead of going 4-2-0, we're going 4-0-2. So we have this. From there, we go back into the verse, same pre-chorus, same chorus. And then we get to after the 2nd chorus, we basically have a variation on the intro. So basically those swells in the intro. So the variation doesn't happen until the very last time you play. So you're playing it 4 times here, just like we did in the intro. But in the intro, the 4th time was playing it the full way. Right? But the 4th time here in the middle of the song is just this. So it basically skipped that second time of going to that adding that bass note. So that's just the fourth time playing it. So it's kind of just normal like in the intro for 3 times. But then the fourth time, skip this next chord and just jump straight to the last one. So skip the fourth chord and just play the fifth one. And so just kind of jump to that real quick. So there's a slight variation, but other than that, it's pretty much just the intro. And then we're to the chorus again. Same chorus, so nothing new there. And then out of that chorus, we get to this riff that's kind of, it's basically like this, the intro after those swells, the part that came in over there. It's kind of a variation of that kind of thing, but close to it, but it's got some of the same stuff going on. But it looks like this. So this is the outro of the song. So that starts with that same riff, the C sharp to the A sus2, and then back, and this one goes from that A sus2 to the E power chord. So that was in the intro, so it looks like this. Now here, we go back to that kind of how we ended the intro. It looks like this. So that kind of same move where we slid this same chord, the 7, over to the B power chord, and then that A power chord just hit once with the open B and high E. And then we go back to the same version of this riff that ends with that E power chord. With it. So all together for that outro. Just the sus2. Now the sus2 to the E. And that variation. And that is it for Pardon Me. So yeah, pardon me for that. Some of the tones in that thing. It's not perfect. It's going to take it takes a little bit of while to kind of dial in. The tone that he's using is really, really cool. But like I said, I didn't spend too much time on it. But it's a great song nonetheless. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.